Today's video will be a quick one. Everyone's favourite BeamingG modder Fillman86 finally put a real car into the BeamingG repository. This is possible, of course, because he got permission from the company that made the car, Elfin. But since it came out, there's been a lot of talk about how hard it is to drive. Now, up until now, I actually haven't gotten a chance to drive it. And so when I heard a lot of people complaining about this, I thought, skill issue maybe? Especially given that I widely believe the whole thing about the Bolide being a very hard car to drive to be untrue. Most people just don't drive it correctly. So is the same true for the Elfin? And while if my last few videos are anything to talk about, I feel my experience in sim racing gives me at least some sort of credentials to make a judgment on whether this car is actually as hard to drive as people say. So I'm making sure I'm using a vanilla map to make sure this is a fair test. So it's a 6-speed manual. I do like to have my steering wheel switched off on screen. I'm sorry, I know some people might like to see it. Now, this is just the way the car is as spawned. I'm not going full tilt on the brakes. Sorry, there's no pedal cam. I couldn't get it working for some reason. I'm gonna have to look into that. Dude, this thing feels amazing. Also, I need to tighten this thing up. Whoa, you definitely need to heel toe on this though. Now, Phil does have a wheel and pedal setup, and although I don't know too much about his sim racing exploits, I do know that he does know a little bit about how to do sim racing. I also know he doesn't like Assetto Corsa though, and I'm quite opinionated on Assetto Corsa being one of the best sims out there. But so far, this thing is brilliant. Now, to be fair, I'm not pushing it overly hard yet. I'm just getting a sort of general idea of how it handles. So let's start pushing it. Now, I'm only super familiar with the large layout, but we'll try the shorter layouts in a second as well, because they get a little bit more technical. Oy! Okay, well that's one thing that wasn't the fault of the map when I was testing it earlier. When the rear goes, it just goes. There's no saving it. This is honestly really cool though, for Phil to have done this, to have a real car manufacturer give permission for one dude to model their car into a game, which, you know, has its side effects. There's merit to the suggestion that this thing might handle better in real life, but again, you can't completely fault Phil for it being uncontrollable. A lot of it has to do with BeamingG's tire model. The way BeamingG simulates grip and friction while sliding isn't very realistic. Phil also has gone through by himself on the tire model, just the way the 3D models of the tires work. They're just very jagged, and it leads to its own set of issues, which makes putting a car like this in the game quite difficult. But I mean, absolute blast. I'd love to own one of these. Okay, here's a look. Whoops. Okay, yeah, suffering from BeamingG's overly intrusive brake locking. You think the Bolide is hard to drive because that's just how Italian cars were? It's not how Italian cars were. Brake lockup was never as bad as it was on the Bolide. That's why I always say, if you can install ABS in a car, generally it'll be more realistic to play the game that way. Okay, yeah. There was no saving that there. You can really feel the weight shifting around on this thing as well. I'm gonna try give her some inertia drifting. Oh no! Can't be done, man. It just can't be done. Oh! Yeah. Don't go too hard with the clutch. We'll try the medium course this time. Oh, there's your lockup. It does understeer a little bit as well, but not an extreme amount. A bit of left foot braking there. You know, for a road car, I know it's a Caterham style kit car. I love how people would say this is a copy of a Caterham, but the Caterham itself is just a replica of a Lotus 7, just slightly developed. Okay, second is very short. Treat second as though it is first gear, just don't use it. But I have to say, despite the issue of the rear just sort of going, it's super, super, super engaging to drive. Dude, it's not often I'd say this about BeamNG mods, because of course there's a lot of limitations putting a car into BeamNG versus a set of Corsa and, you know, making it actually feel authentic. But I gotta say, whoops, I almost feel immersed enough to feel the wind blowing through my hair. It's brilliant. And you know, it's a good bit of marketing for Elfin, because, I mean, obviously I live on the opposite side of the world to where they're based, but, like, I'd have never heard of them if not for this mod. Now, there's also been questions about how it crashes. I'm not getting into that. This is purely from a sim racing experience. Okay, so I've changed the config. He's included little labels on the mod to show which ones are better on controller and on wheel. This is the Cup 2 version, which he's listed as being for wheel. So I'd imagine it's a bit more of a handful than the one I was just driving, which is the default one. Oh, well, whoa, well, that did not last long. Alright, let's try that again. What? The whole car is jigging. Nothing wrong with that. That just happens with mods like this sometimes. Oh, okay, the brakes. Ooh. Ooh, those brakes are not good. Again, BeamNG's fault, not necessarily Phil's fault. I wonder what causes the braking to be so bad like that, though. That makes it so uncontrollable. Is that the tire model, or is it the way they've modeled in the braking? Like, if they fix the tire model, will that be fixed? I don't know, but this car suffers from it, so I'm going to make some adjustments. Okay, we've got brake bias at 60, but brake force at, I think it was 70 or something. So, braking quite reduced, but it's the only way to actually make this thing drivable, and I'm braking very tentatively. It seems to be working so far. I don't know why I'm getting high clutch temperature. I'm gonna slow down the gear shifts a bit just to let that cool down. Oh! Brake lock up. The stock one drives like I feel it should be driving. This though, I think people might be right. I think it might be a little bit hard to drive. Now obviously there's limitations with a car like this, and you just put loads of power into it. It won't necessarily have the downforce of the grip to deal with even better brakes. Like the problem with braking like that as well is I can't heel toe downshift because I'm having to modulate the brakes so much, and if I blip the throttle, I'll just lock the brakes, which is a common issue with the game. I will give it that. A lot of it is a game issue. Now, I should say the criticism isn't to say it's a bad mod. It's just to say that it is very hard to drive. The criticisms of it being uneasy to drive is they aren't necessarily unfounded. It is still so cool. I mean, it looks cool. I mean, look at it, dude. Oh! Yeah. Get a look at that, alright. Okay, and the final one I'm going to try out is the race version. Obviously, this is the one that appealed to me from the very start. I've literally not touched this config before as well. You know me, motorsport is my gig, so I'm interested to see how this really handles. And on top of that, it's a sequential, so no more shifter. Okay, it is locking up a bit, but oh, the grip is good. Now I know he has a grippy tires mod. I would imagine he's applied it to this. I haven't verified that now, but woohoo! Oh wow. Okay, other than the braking, I gotta say this feels brilliant. I love this. Whoa. I like how it feels, although I would say I can't trust it to push. Well, but then again, about not trusting the car in terms of pushing it, that's the way I feel about a lot of BeamNG cars that have this lockup issue, like the slower bolides. The Group 5 one, probably one of my favourite cars in the game, because you can really push that, but the other ones, the brakes are just not realistic. It makes it very difficult to trust the car. Okay, insane lockup. I'm going to deal with the brake settings in a minute. But this is pretty good. I mean, it goes where I point it. You can kind of save it a lot better than the slower versions. Oh yeah, but that's one fatal flaw of your sequential. There's no rev matching. In BeamingG with the sequentials, it is pretty much impossible to rev match, at least in my experience. At least in Assetto Corsa, when you have a sequential that does not have auto blip, it's a lot easier to do that blipping. When I raced those Ginettas back last year, those are sequential and they do not have auto blip. So if you watch my POV of some of the racing, you'll actually see me pressing the throttle manually to match the revs, even though I'm using the paddles. Which, when you do it for the first time, it's a bit trippy, but you get used to it. Okay, I've set the brake bias to 66 and the brake force multiplier to 72. Everything else left the same. I'm just being tentative on the brakes. I don't want to ask too much of them. Okay, we're gonna lock in for a lap here. See what I can get out of this thing. I'm gonna go full esports mode. As I was saying, full esports mode for the long layout, which I feel is where this car shines the most. Oh! Spun? Who spun? I don't know what you're talking about. Holy fuck. Okay, my first try. A little bit of understeer. It's so hard to trail brake, dude. That's why I'm suffering from so much understeer. Oh, here we go. Back section of the track. I never really know what the correct line through here is. I know it varies depending on the car. That was definitely not a very fast execution of it, though. Look at track limits. Never heard of her. Alright, we're gonna go flat out through here. I don't care. No balls. Full tilt. Oh. It was when I thought I was gonna crash that I don't. Okay, I'm kind of short shifted there. Whoops. Ooh. Ooh. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, we're going through here for the very, very first time this entire video ever. Okay. Oh yes, hook it in on the curbs. That's how you do it. That's how you fucking... Come on. Oh, I got it. I got it. I don't got it. I'm not gonna... You should be trail braking through there, but I'm not gonna because I'll end up in a different continent. And across the line. Oh yeah, that only took one attempt. Oh, dude. The road was a bit wider. I could have held that actually. I didn't expect to nearly hold that. Is it a fantastic mod? Definitely. Is it hard to drive? Yes. If you have the game, I highly recommend to check it out though. And, well, if you're watching my channel, you probably already know who Fillman86 is, but check out his streams. And if you like Fillman86, click here because he tried to show me how to make mods. Subscribe because I'm getting a lot of new viewers, a lot of you aren't subscribed. And this is another video YouTube thinks you'll like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out in the track.